There's a certain kind of silence that comes with age. It's not the silence of peace, not yet. At first, it feels empty. You wake up to a house that doesn't need you. No footsteps, no urgent phone calls, no one asking what's for breakfast, just you, and the sound of the kettle, and the distant hum of a world moving without you. You sit down in the same chair, same morning light, same rhythm, but something has shifted. Not outside, inside, because for so many years, your life was filled with noise. Children needing, schedules pressing, voices filling the hallway, movement everywhere. And now there's stillness. Stillness that at first can feel like absence. Absence of purpose, absence of demand, absence of someone asking, "Are you coming?" or "Can you help me?" That stillness is often misunderstood by others and by you. Because society tells us that being alone means being lonely. That if no one is calling, if no one is near, then something must be wrong. You must have been forgotten. Or worse, you must have failed. But what if that's not true? What if, gently, slowly, this stillness is not a punishment, but a permission? What if living alone after 70 isn't about being left behind, but about finally arriving at yourself? For the first time in decades, there's space. Space to feel without rushing. Space to think without interruption. Space to move or not move without needing to explain why. And yes, at first it can feel strange. The silence feels too loud, the walls feel too quiet. You might find yourself turning on the television just to feel less alone. But over time, that silence begins to soften. It stops echoing, it starts holding, and what it holds is you. Not the you who everyone needed, not the role you played, just you. So before we go further, I want to ask, when was the last time you spent a full day with yourself? Not out of loneliness, but out of choice. If the answer is never, that's okay, because maybe now, finally, you have the time. And in the next part, we'll explore the quiet truth no one told you about solitude, that being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. There's a difference no one teaches us when we're young. We grow up thinking they are the same, that being alone must mean being lonely. That if no one fills the room must be lacking. That if no one speaks, there must be something missing. But here's the quiet truth. Loneliness is the ache of absence. Solitude is the gift of presence. Loneliness is when you feel unseen, even in a room full of people. It's when your voice echoes but no one truly hears. It's when you give and still feel unknown. Solitude is something else entirely. It is chosen, it is sacred. It is a returning, not to emptiness, but to fullness. And as we grow older, that difference becomes not just helpful, but necessary. Because the world around you grows louder, but your inner world starts craving peace. The rushing, the background noise, the demands, they used to be familiar. They used to make you feel important, useful, connected. But now, they tire you, they stretch you thin. They make your thoughts scatter like dry leaves in the wind. And here's what neuroscience tells us. The aging brain needs space. The mature nervous system thrives in calm. The soul, especially in its later years, doesn't grow in chaos. It heals in stillness. Living alone can give you that. Not the loneliness that makes you feel small, but the quiet that makes you feel whole. In solitude, your senses come alive again. You start to hear the birds you once ignored. You begin to taste your tea instead of gulping it. You notice how light moves through your room, slowly, gently, like a poem that was always there. You remember things, not just memories, but parts of yourself that got buried beneath years of noise. You begin to trust your own rhythm. Eat when you're hungry, not when the family's ready. Rest when you're tired, not when the chores are done. Speak when you have something to say, and stay silent when words aren't needed. It's not selfish, it's not isolation, it's not giving up, it's coming home to you. So the next time someone says, "I could never live alone," smile gently, because they may never know the quiet beauty you now carry. In the next part, we'll explore the simple moments that make living alone not just peaceful, but surprisingly rich, full, and meaningful in ways you never expected. At first, it might feel like not much happens when you live alone. No one to greet you at the door, no laughter from the hallway, no noise from the kitchen, just the steady tick of the clock and your own footsteps across the floor. But then something shifts. You begin to notice the small things. How the sunlight hits your favorite chair at just the right angle around 8:30 in the morning. How the silence in the house isn't cold, it's soft. How the smell of fresh tea somehow feels like company. You no longer rush through your routines. You begin to inhabit them. You water your plants not out of duty, but because they've become companions. You fold your clothes slowly, mindfully, feeling the fabric and your own presence. You hum songs you forgot you remembered. You light a candle, not for anyone else, but for yourself. These may seem small, but they are not meaningless. They are sacred. Because when you live alone, your life becomes your own again. Not something to perform, not something to manage, but something to simply live. You eat when you're hungry, not when someone else is ready. You go to bed without explaining why you're tired. You spend the whole afternoon reading, and no one interrupts, and it feels like breathing. You begin to realize that for the first time in years, maybe even in decades, you're living on your own rhythm. Not the rhythm of children, or a partner, or a job. Not the demands of a clock or a calendar, just your heartbeat, your energy, your natural rise and rest. And here's the miracle. The quieter life gets, the more alive you feel. You start to see beauty in everything. The steam curling from your mug, the shadows that dance across the living room floor, the way rain sounds when it taps against the window, not as background noise but as something you're present for. Even loneliness, when it comes, doesn't stay long. It arrives. And you greet it like an old visitor. You sit with it for a moment, and then it leaves. Because you've built a home inside yourself. And in that home, you are not lacking. You are not waiting. You are not invisible. You are fully here. Fully enough. And while some might see an empty house, you've come to see it as something else entirely. A sanctuary, a sacred pause, a quiet space where you're finally allowed to be whole. In the next part, we'll talk about the heavy voices from outside, the social judgments, the family comments, the old beliefs that say you shouldn't live alone. And we'll ask, what if they're all wrong? Let's talk about what no one wants to say out loud. Living alone, especially after 70, comes with a shadow. Not your own shadow, but the one cast by society's gaze. People mean well, of course, but they speak in ways that sting. Oh, you're by yourself? Don't your children visit more often? Still living alone in that big house? You must get so lonely. They don't ask with cruelty. But the weight behind the words is clear. If you're alone, something must be missing. Something must have gone wrong. Someone must have left. Or worse, no one stayed. And after a while, even if you're content, even if your heart is full, even if your days are peaceful, you start to wonder, are they right? Am I doing this wrong? Am I only pretending I'm okay? This is the quiet pain of growing older. Not the aches in your bones, but the assumptions people place on your soul. They don't see the rich, layered life you live inside that quiet house. They don't see the art you still create, the books you still devour, the memories you still cherish. They don't see how deeply you breathe now that no one is tugging at your every hour. They just see the empty chair, not the full spirit sitting next to it. But here's the truth. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are not less than because no one sleeps beside you. You are simply one of the rare ones, brave enough to choose yourself. To say, I would rather be alone than unseen. I would rather hear my own voice than silence myself for the comfort of others. I would rather feel my own peace than fight for someone else's presence. That is not failure. That is freedom. Yes, we are wired for connection. Yes, humans need love. But connection does not always come from a shared roof. And love does not always require another body in the bed. You can be surrounded by people and still feel isolated. You can live with family and still feel forgotten. And you can live alone and feel deeply whole. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your joy. You don't need to apologize for liking your solitude. You don't need to soften the truth so others feel better about your choice. Because it is a choice, and one made from strength, not sadness. And when others whisper behind closed doors, you'll know the truth behind yours. That inside these walls is not emptiness, but clarity. Not absence, but presence. Not silence, but the soft music of a life finally lived on your own terms. In the next part, we'll talk about how to nurture this life. How to make living alone not just manageable, but beautiful, joyful, and deeply connected in your own unique way. So now that you know the truth, that living alone doesn't have to mean being lonely, the question becomes, how do you make it beautiful? How do you turn silence into sanctuary, space into softness, solitude into something sacred? It starts with intention. You don't have to live in a palace to feel peace. You don't need luxury to feel alive. You just need attention, the kind we rarely gave ourselves when life was full of others. Start with your space. This is not just a house. This is your home, and it should feel like a reflection of you. Not who you were for others, but who you are now. Let the sunlight in. Keep plants, even just one. Let it remind you that things grow quietly, gently, without needing permission. Play music that moves your soul, not for guests but for you. Have a cozy corner that is purely yours. A chair, a lamp, a book, a soft blanket. Let it be your daily retreat. Decorate not for aesthetics, but for resonance. Hang pictures of people you love. Surround yourself with reminders of moments that made you feel alive. Not just milestones, but memories. Then turn to your habits. Make tea in the morning with both hands. Light a candle at dusk, not because someone's coming over, but because you are home. Write something, anything. Not to publish, not to impress, but to witness yourself. Take walks where you notice trees, clouds, the rhythm of your own feet. Say hello to the neighbor's dog. Smile at the sun. And when the quiet feels a little too quiet, don't rush to fill it. Don't reach for distraction. Reach for presence. That could be a call to someone you love, but not to escape solitude. To share it. That could be joining a book club, a gentle yoga class, or just a weekly chat with another soul who understands what it means to live gently. Connection doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be frequent. It just has to be real. The beauty of living alone after 70 is this: you get to choose everything. What you bring in, what you let go, who enters your space, and who doesn't. And in that choosing, you reclaim something precious: yourself. You become not just the keeper of your home, but the artist of your life, the curator of your peace, the guardian of your joy. And no matter what others say, there is nothing small about that. In the final part, we'll wrap this journey with a quiet truth: that living alone may not be the life you planned, but it might be the most honest, peaceful, and beautiful chapter yet. Maybe you didn't plan to live alone. Maybe you lost someone. Maybe your children grew up and moved far away. Maybe you simply outgrew a life that no longer fit. Whatever brought you here, this quiet home, this empty chair, this soft morning light that belongs only to you, I hope you know something. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are simply becoming. Becoming someone who knows the value of silence. Becoming someone who no longer fears their own company. Becoming someone who finally hears the gentle voice inside that was always there, just waiting for space. In a world that rushes, you have chosen stillness. In a world that demands, you have chosen softness. In a world obsessed with more, you have chosen enough. That is not loneliness. That is not sadness. That is wisdom. There is beauty in being alone, not because others don't want you, but because you no longer need to be needed to feel alive. You are whole. And if the evenings still feel a little long, if the nights are sometimes too quiet, know this: you are not alone in your aloneness. There are thousands of us sitting quietly in our homes, brewing tea, watching the sun fall across the wall, breathing in this life that no longer needs to be loud to feel full. If you've made it here, to the end of this video, I hope you'll do one small thing. Leave a comment below. Tell us, what is one small joy you've discovered in living alone? A morning ritual, a quiet moment, a newfound freedom. Because when you share your peace, you give someone else permission to find theirs. And if you found something here today, a reflection, a comfort, a quiet yes in your chest, then please subscribe to this channel. This is Golden Pathways, and here, we don't rush aging. We redefine it. We don't run from solitude. We honor it. We don't fear getting older. We see it as the sacred return to who we were always meant to be. Thank you for being here. You're not just watching this video, you're part of a gentle revolution, a softer way to live, a quieter way to love, and a deeper way to age on your own terms.